The first industrial revolution used water and steam power to mechanize production, and the second used electric power to create mass production. Consequently, the third industrial revolution used electronics and IT to automate production. However, now a fourth industrial revolution is building on the third, a digital revolution that is literally altering every aspect of our lives. Helping individuals take advantage of every second of their day and enabling an always connected workforce is key for an organization's successful digital transformation.
We're living in an era of digital transformation, and what this means for us as a generation is that it has fundamentally altered the way in which we work and live. So if you think about it, there are a few areas that we can clearly think about in this space. So for example, our expectations. That's clearly changed over the past few years. We expect everything now, immediately. And our attention spans are reducing and becoming much shorter. The second area is clearly around information and the rich information that we have around us that we can use in real time. Add to it the additional trends like IoT or the Internet of Everything, and the data deluge is just going to grow over the next few years. The other aspect around work, for instance, and the way technology has impacted that has clearly changed. Today, we can work from anywhere at any time that we choose to with connected devices like laptops and mobiles. It's no longer restricted to the workplace only. Organizations across the globe in every industry, in every business, and in every country are being impacted around digital transformation and what they need to do around their business and business systems, for instance. As organizations embrace what we call as digital transformation, Dell Technologies as a family of businesses is uniquely positioned to be able to partner with them on this journey. Dell, Dell EMC, Pivotal, RSA, SecureWorks, VirtuStream and VMware together are uniquely positioned to be able to partner with them on this journey on the fourth industrial revolution.
We're joined by Vijay Sethi of Hero MotoCorp to get an inside look into the different technology strategies driving up workforce productivity in the company. Mr. Sethi, thank you so much for joining us. Let's start with the broad business landscape. It's ever evolving, ever changing, and technology here becomes a key enabler in driving up workforce productivity. So let's start with an inside look into the technology strategies that Hero MotoCorp looks at in order to achieve this objective and support workforce trends. What would you say?
So what is happening at Hero, and that's true for almost all organizations, that over the last 7-8 years, technology has been driving a lot of stuff in the organizations, whether it's the workforce productivity, whether it is productivity of the men, machine, materials, everything. Coming back to Hero MotoCorp as the workforce productivity, so we look at our IT strategy regularly. There's a time when people used to look at IT strategy maybe after every 3 years, 2 years, but now the technology is changing so fast. The manpower that we employ, their own characteristics are changing so much that one has to relook at the IT strategy very regularly. So the workforce which is coming in today is very IT savvy. So you cannot provide them with tools which were of say 2010, 2011. So the tools of today have to be there for the workforce of today.
Now, being a global leader definitely brings with it a set of challenges, especially connected to workforce productivity. I'd like to focus on one, which is the long gestation period between launches. Now, how does Hero MotoCorp use technology to bridge that long gap?
Let me correct you on two things. Number one, there are not long gestation periods these days. There's a time when new launches would come after many, many years. Now it's few months, number one. Number two, it's not that there's a dip in productivity between those two launches, but perhaps the entire workforce is most productive during those launches because people are working towards a deadline. And at that time, you need to ensure that all your functions, departments, all your supply chain, everyone works with a common focus of ensuring that things really happen on that particular day. So over there, technology plays a huge role from collaboration perspective.
All right. Now, you have a large and diverse workforce numerous departments, so the demands of work for each department is different. Now, identifying their demands and pairing it with the right kind of technology is a massive exercise which involves a whole amount of due diligence. So how do you address this, and how do you identify the right kind of technology to invest in to drive up workforce productivity?
The reality is you can't use the same tools and techniques for, say, a sales and marketing department and a research and a production department or other departments. First, how it starts is first understand what are the needs. So it can't start from tools and technology. It starts from the needs. What they need, why they need, how they will work with those tools, how will it help the organization. And then you look at what are those tools which will help them to do their job better. And that's how it's driven. So one brush cannot paint the entire organization. I always say that, especially as CIOs, we should always be ready to review our decisions periodically. So even if I took a decision last year, that was in that context. There are times when even that may not be right today, because the technology is changing so fast, your organizational needs are changing so fast, your workforce needs are changing so fast. So you need to review your needs, strategy and the blueprint very regularly.
Now, you've been instrumental in the digital transformation of Hero MotoCorp, not just when it comes to producing next-gen bike, but also the internal operations part of it. So, how do you see technology becoming a bigger enabler in the years to come from an overall company perspective and also a manpower efficiency play?
See, how technology is really evolved in various organizations, especially in manufacturing organizations, is that over the last maybe 10, 15 years, technology is playing a huge role in automating various systems. So be it your production shop floors, be it your marketing, connecting your dealers with the company, connecting with your customers, all those things. But over the last 5, 6 years, 3 years, if you really see, this huge change in technology which has happened. Social media, really that brought in not just from personal stuff, but from organizational stuff. Analytics or big data analytics as one calls it. Cloud has been a major game changer. And now with the new thing which is developments either in robotics or on sensors from an IoT perspective, that's changing the whole landscape. And that's where IT of future will be very different from what IT happens today. And the organization of future will be very different from the organization of today.
All right. Now let's shift focus. Now all over the world, the workforce is becoming more flexible. So remote workers are in vogue, and BYOD, bring your own device, is also catching on. So do you see the concept of BYOD as a challenge, or do you see it as an opportunity for the company to become more productive and make the employees' growth more faster?
I think 3-4 years back, I wrote a blog on BYOD versus something called CYOD, which is choose your own device versus buy your own device or bring your own device. Now the key thing is, let's go back to philosophy as to why does BYOD came into picture. People thought of BYOD because of two aspects. One is from the employee perspective, which is that I don't want to look at that thick black laptop and I want a laptop which is of mine. That's one piece. The second is, a lot of organizations wanted to push BYOD more to ensure that their CapEx part gets converted into OpEx. So it is more of a financial thing, that instead of I really investing in those hardware, let my employees. Now, in today's time, the devices that you get, even in the company, not the consumer end devices, but the organization end, they are so nice, if I can use that word, that you really don't have to really go for a device which is that thick old black device. So what we do at organizations is, from a laptop perspective or other devices perspective, it is not really a BYOD, but there is enough option which are given to employees, so where they can choose their own laptops. So that is one piece.
Let's come to the final question. Now, Dell has been extremely proactive when it comes to deciphering workforce trends, and they have actually further designed and incorporating some of those findings in the end user computing solutions that can be perfectly matched to the sort of work an individual does. So looking at the diverse nature of what you do, how do you see Dell supporting you in addressing some of the challenges that you've mentioned?
See, Dell has been a strategic partner for us for quite some time. And if I just go back to your earlier question of BYOD versus CYOD, one of the reasons why an organization can really work on CYOD is if you really have options. And that's what I think Dell has been providing, that there have been enough options even on the laptop end or on PC end, that you really don't have to go back to the conventional old laptops. So which means the laptops that you buy today are more modern, And that's where, if I look at that, a lot of people would like to work on a device which is of their choice. So suddenly you get that. I think it doesn't then make any difference whether the person bought it or the company bought it. And that's where Dell is playing, and some of the laptops which are really very nice.
So how do you see this partnership forging ahead?
I think, as I said earlier, they are a strategic partner. And strategic partners are not for short term, they are for long term always.
All right. On that note, we'll conclude this interview. Mr. Sethi, thank you so much for joining us.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Disruptive changes to business models have had a profound impact on the employment landscape across industries. Technology being the key enabler in bringing about such transformation, employers and employees today are constantly looking at how they can become more productive. The fourth industrial revolution offers workers the flexibility to better utilize their time, thereby not only making them more productive at work, but also help in bridging the gap between their professional space and personal lives.
We're joined by Mayur Danet of Lupin Pharma, and we're here to get his insights on the role of tech strategies in driving workforce productivity. Mr. Danet, thank you so much for joining us. My first question to you, can you tell us briefly about some of the unique challenges that workforces in pharma companies face, specifically when it comes to adopting new technologies?
I think one of the larger challenges for our industry is we are a highly regulated industry. So any technology that we adopt, whether it's hardware, software, even equipment, needs to go through a process of validation. And I think that defines the rate of adoption of technology in the industry. It's a lot more incremental, it's more calibrated. On the flip side, or on the positive side, what we see is because of the rigor that we use in our testing and qualification processes, the failure rates that we have are far more under control. So there's both sides to it.
All right. Now moving on, a common misconception in the world of digitization is that moving to a digital network and connected workplace means that employees are distracted. Now, how do you see such easy accessibility over multiple devices affecting productivity? What's your view on that?
I think what is going to happen is there is a fair amount of information overload that's happened because you have better devices, more capable devices, better connectivity. You get information thrown at you all the time. So there is an information overload. But I think on the whole, we are seeing productivity going up rather than going down. And that's happening because of a couple of things. One is, of course, we are having a higher level of automation in the enterprise. We are seeing more better analytics, faster decision making on account of that. And simply by being more connected, employees are able to do more work on the go. So I think overall we are seeing productivity going up, not down.
What benefits do you see from matching workforces to the right technologies and specifically matching users to the right devices to improve workforce productivity? Can you list some changes that you have seen happen within your own industry?
Definitely the technology strategy has to be calibrated for the workforce vertical that we are talking about. So the needs of R&D are very different from the needs of manufacturing, and those are very different from the needs of the sales force. So if you take the case of R&D, for example, it's more about innovation. It's more about being the ability to capture experimentation information directly in electronic format. It's more about protection of confidentiality, protection of IP. So systems which address those requirements are the ones you see a higher uptake for those systems. So systems like virtual desktop infrastructure, data loss prevention systems, electronic lab notebooks. These are things that, that's where we are seeing the investments go today on the R&D side. Manufacturing is more about compliance. It's more about capture of data directly from equipment. It's more about integrity of data. So everything along systems that address those requirements. From a devices perspective, we are seeing a lot of handheld devices also being adopted on the manufacturing side. Now, the only requirement there is the devices need to be hardened devices. They need to be flame-proof devices so that we can use them in an inflammable environment. The last is the field force. The field force is the workforce on the go. So they're traveling from one place to another. They're practically never in the office. So they need a lot of remote access requirements. They don't have availability or easy access to an IT help desk. So the systems that we implement there need to be far more reliable in terms of availability and ease of use. So cloud and mobility, those are the dominant themes there.
Interesting that you mentioned remote workers. Now, how do you ensure that remote workers are as productive as their in-house counterparts using technology?
So I mentioned that from a remote workforce standpoint, it's cloud and mobility that form the cornerstone of our strategy. So everything that we deployed for the field force over the last few years has been on the cloud. And the other effort that we're putting in is to make sure that the same applications are also available on a mobile device. So regardless of where the worker actually is, he or she can access the same applications, even if they were sitting in the same in our office premises, or they were out in the field in a doctor's cabin.
BYOD, the concept is catching on. How is Lupin embracing the concept of BYOD?
So I think BYOD is here to stay. With the variety of devices that are available and the capability that's available in those devices, employees will expect to do more and more of their work from the same device. And I'm willing to bet that most of the devices in the future are going to be personally owned. So this has already invaded the workspace. I think this is being addressed, and we are doing the same, and this is being addressed by most of the enterprises through a combination of policies and technology. So there is a BYOD policy framework that we have adopted at Lupin, which kind of defines the boundaries of the use of personal devices in the enterprise.
So do you think the technology curve is mature enough for the industry broadly to embrace BYOD? And specifically, if you look at the security challenge, do you think the entire ecosystem is mature enough now for broader adoption?
So it is, I wouldn't say it has reached that level of maturity, but it's definitely getting there. We are seeing a lot of investments happening there from the OEM vendors' perspective as well. So it will definitely mature, and definitely over time, people will be able to use same devices for both personal and corporate without, the data getting mixed up.
All right. Now, how do you see technology enabling future workforces to drive productivity, especially within the pharma industry, which is an extremely specialized research and manufacturing industry in that sense? And what changes do you hope to see within the way that technology is consumed within the industry?
So we are seeing a lot of productivity-driven technology investments. We've seen that trend over the last 4 or 5 years. Most of the investments that we do are driven by the theme of productivity. So I think productivity investments come in two distinct flavors. One is the automation of processes which are today operating in a manual mode. The other flavor is processes that exist in the company which are kind of semi-automated. They're not fully automated. So they operate in silos in different pockets of the organization. Typical examples of these would be project management. The other example of this would be planning and forecasting processes. So we are seeing productivity investments happening there to move it into a collaborative environment, so that people are able to collaborate with each other as part of the process, and you get better data integrity because we don't have different silos in operation.
Looking at the diverse nature of your industry, how do you see Dell especially addressing or helping you address some of the challenges that you mentioned earlier?
So Dell has built an impressive portfolio of products and solutions over the last few years. A lot of acquisitions have happened which have kind of complemented their existing strengths. Dell has been a strong partner for us as far as end user computing is concerned. But we're also partnering with Dell in a host of other areas like data center solutions, networking solutions, even Dell services. So I think with the portfolio that they have and the strategy that Dell has adopted, I see them playing a significant role as far as our technology strategy grows.
All right. On that note, Mr. Danette, thank you so much for giving us time for this interview. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, Gautam.
Thank you.